we were passing by with one of my friends. We were passing by to a street, and then all of a sudden we see a whole bunch of stuff just in the streets right there, and we were like, "What happened here?" You know, a family had just been evicted, where the owner just came and they threw everything just in the streets, just like nothing, like it was garbage. Like this family worked for all that stuff, and then all of a sudden, like everything was just in the streets. And I remember, you know, Byron came and we all got together and we started like, he went and bought some boxes and we put all the stuff in the boxes for the family and we helped them out. Because that's what Pilsen is about helping each other.
Navigating what it means to be a Mexican woman born in this land. Pilsen always felt like a safe haven, a safe space where our cultura was very dominant, was very vibrant.
You're living in a large city, but you want to feel like you're in, you know, a tight-knit neighborhood, and that's why you come here.
This is the way I feel. I grew up in this neighborhood, and what I don't like, white people are taking over Pilsen. Pilsen, I grew up, Pilsen being a Mexican neighborhood. I wanted to stay Mexican. But the white people are taking it over. That's what I don't like.
There's been a solid community that has been fighting that for a long time and have been working to, you know, the murals, like those didn't just like come out of nowhere, right? Like the culture here didn't just, you know, come out of nowhere.
Pilsen, a predominantly Mexican neighborhood in the Lower West Side of Chicago, is currently experiencing the destructive effects of gentrification, such as urban development and a loss of place. The beautiful mural-covered neighborhood is at risk of losing all of the culture and history that makes it such a unique attraction.
Pilsen Alliance is a grassroots non-for-profit that's been around for 18 years in Pilsen. The organization was born out of the struggle of displacement of low-income families in the Pilsen community, especially the Mexican-American community. We work on issues of affordable housing, but we also are a social justice organization, so it's not only housing. That organization works also advocating for public education, advocating for environmental justice, immigrant rights, and workers' rights. Another community issue in Pilsen.
Gentrification is a process of renovation of neighborhoods triggered by an influx of affluent residents, which results in an increased property value and the displacement of lower-income families and small businesses. It is evident in Pilsen by the amount of families who have been forced to leave their homes due to property costs and small businesses that have been closed due to the movement of large companies into the area.
There's a study by UAC that at least 10,000 Latinos have left the Pilsen community, you know, in a community that is, you know, Pilsen has 35,000 residents. So 10,000 is a very significant number. It means that we're basically being displaced. There's not enough affordable housing units. We're being segregated again. That's what it means for the city as a whole.
For example, I could use my husband as an example. You know, he's always lived in Pilsen all his life. He's been here in Pilsen. His family's been here in Pilsen. For him, this is a place that is his home. You know, he grew up with all his cousins here. So this place is an identity to him. And he wanted to be here and buy a house, raise the kids over here. And right now it's like we're trying to buy a house and we're looking around the area and it's so hard.
So there's another agenda with the state that is a reason why they want to help promote gentrification. They want to increase the revenue generated by pushing people out of the neighborhood. And they'll say this brings diversity, this lowers crime, but it doesn't lower crime. It pushes it somewhere else outside mind, and also out of potentially the ward, so the alderman doesn't have to deal with that crime and say, oh, I lowered crime.
Right by my house, there is a place a building that they constructed like around a year ago, and it's a 4-unit building, $500,000 each unit. Yeah. So I feel like it's really overpriced, and I feel like sooner or later we're gonna have to move away, so if we cannot afford those prices.
The word place has 12 different definitions, but everyone has their own personal interpretation of what place means to them. It can be a city, a neighborhood, a restaurant, a room, or chair. Pilsen and the areas and buildings located in it are special, meaningful places for many of the residents that are being lost due to the changes occurring in the neighborhood.
You see the business that were before, they were more like family businesses. They're right there. They've been there forever. We go in, we talk to the people. It's like, hey, it's a familiar place to go to. And all of a sudden, it's like it's not there anymore. And right now, I mean, there's some businesses that are coming, and they come with a mind that they want to be part of the community and stuff like that. But there's some that definitely they don't want to be a part of the community. It's just about making money, and that's about it. And especially like when it comes to corporations, and they should be the ones that are more like for the community, because they have more money than the small businesses.
Our community centers are demolished, so we have no places to meet. We have our community organizations either shut down or moved further away from our convenience, and we are pushed further away from what unites us.
Talk about the effects on families, when you're talking communities, a strong Latino community for decades. You build infrastructure around it, meaning you have bilingual programs in the schools, you have networks for immigrant networks, organizations, community centers. So all the infrastructure, all those programs that have been built over time are being dismantled.
Urban development is a growing controversial issue in Pilsen. Increasing tensions between the aldermen and the people are hurting the community. Without help from those in power and unity among the residents, no progress will be made.
Is the city of Chicago has always had a contested relationship with poor communities because they're run by people with money. They serve the status quo, they serve people with money, and they neglect communities like Pilsen until they change them or they kick us all out. So we don't have a good relationship with the alderman because the alderman takes money from developers. He's the zoning chair. He's been the zoning chair for the last 6 years. He's made a lot of money, but he's definitely neglected his community. I think that his relationship with the community is very poor. He's never in the office. I bet you if you go today and you try to find him, he's not going to be there. I mean, and that's sad that's his job. His job is to be available for residents. I mean, being an alderman of a community, you are the representative of the city. I never seen the alderman because I think he's actually afraid of walking around here because people know that he's absent. And when he walks around, they ask him about what happened with why you voted in favor of raising property taxes, why you don't do anything about finding regulation for evictions, why you have and he's never have any answer. So I think that his relationship with the community has been absent for a long time.
For example, the alderman, I feel like there is no communication with the community at all. Like, I actually wrote an email myself because I was concerned about the schools. A lot of the schools they have lead problems here in Pilsen. So I wrote an email like asking him for a meeting, and he never answered back.
I think there's always been a misunderstanding that we are against change. And it's not that we are against change. We want to make sure that change is as positive for as many people as possible. And that includes the poor. So there's always going to be money for the rich. There's always going to be money for those people who have money. And, it gets perpetuated. But who builds for the poor? if it's not the city, if it's not public investment. That's what the safety nets are built. That's what government is important. So we're talking about that. So what can we do is advocate for good policy that serves the majority.
Pilsen is not against change. However, the changes should be as positive as possible for the largest amount of people, especially the poor. Improving the neighborhood should not include destroying everything that makes it special and unique. From the colorful murals to the culturally rich restaurants and shops, everyone must come together to preserve the special neighborhood that is Pilsen.